When I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through times. I see fruits of our ambitions, figments of our imagination. And I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was. Simply because in this quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds won't fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, yes, I just wonder why. I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such generations as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men defile everything passed by. Time is running out as we eat and drink species at the brink of being extinct, yeah. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, really, really high, high, high. I see consciousness abate as today we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes. You have upside all complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world has come divided between race, color, creed, and class. And some of the things the scripture predict, how it truthfully come to pass. So that wouldn't be there. Children making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, Lord, how long would it last? How long would it last? How long would it last? I see craziness increase, bogus priests and corrupt police. No peace, the struggle don't cease as man turn to drugs, searching for relief. I see a frightened humanity, a sad and confused society, and it saddens me. How shall it be in time to come? Can this world withstand this constant misuse and abuse by the hands of man?
Is this judgment
as they try to shape this world in a way to fit in with all their plans? Time is running out.
Time is running
as we eat and drink species at the brink of being extinct, yes. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, real high.
This is one of the greatest calypsos ever written. The one I just played also. Sheldon Henry said I have his undivided attention. Good. Wake up people, text them, WhatsApp them, call them, Facebook message them, tell them Phillip live and it's mash up, mash up.
Every day I sit and wonder how this sweet island gets so bitter. Low salary but cost of living gets higher. We inhumane behavior, things don't turn upside down. Smiling faces becomes a frown. Guns the law, we now live in fear. People no longer seems to care. My heart is filled with pain and agony. I see a man begging for mercy. They rob him and they shoot up his body. I can't take no more. I pray for we safety. Sweet tea and tea, bring it back. Land of the milk and honey, bring it back. Sweet family, the way that it used to be, like long ago. What was mine was yours too. Bring it back. Peace and harmony, my red, white and black country.
Calling people, wake them up, you know. Wake them up. Waking up time.
Bring it back, I say. Bring it up. 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 All I see is darkness all over. Stray bullets have running for cover. Shedding tears has become so natural. Humans behaving more like animals. No respect for values anymore. Even the lawmakers breaking the law. Who can we trust? Tell me who to save. Each day undertakers dig new graves. Wailing and burning is the new band launching. New sizes of boxes we measuring. Nearly on a corner you're here in the morning. Live for a movie in Trinbago now showing. Sweet tea and tea, bring it back. Land of the milk and honey, bring it back. Sweet family, the way that it used to be, Lord. Like long ago, what was mine was yours too. Bring it back. Peace and harmony, my red, white and black country. And all feeling the pressure. People die like flies, yet we fight. What would it take for us to unite? Look how we children them going astray, and the poor hold on to faith each day. So all we have a message and playing down. Many go playing time to come with all the innocent lives they take. The mind and the souls they corrupt. Everything has a price to pay. Judgment Day, sweet tea and tea, land of the milk and honey, sweet family, the way that it used to be, like long ago, what was mine was yours, peace and harmony, my red, white and black country. In your hands, you can create and you can destroy. These turn our sorrows into joy. Forgive us, Father, we have sinned. Turn back the sword, Lord, and lead it. Change the hearts of the wicked ones. Guide and protect all your daughters and sons through this perilous times. I know with you on board, blessings will flow. TNT will again arise through the sweet, sweet paradise. it take a village to grow a child, and all we do was smile. Bring the country back, I say. Bring it back. When we eat from the same bowl, bring it back. We drink from the same cup. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. My red, white, and black country. Bring it back. When we look out for each other, bring it back. We were all brothers keepers. Bring it back. My red, white, and black country. Bring it back. Sweet mama land. Bring it back. Bring it back. My red, white, and black country.
Yes, are you catching the spirit yet? Ready for my mind yet? When I break up dawn, it's a party tonight. Today we're working on the maker, I'm working on the vocal cords. Listen, this is our whole night party. You cannot reach for yourself some big step. You're going to do it. In this dance, to love up on one another, loving up on children, and deal with the issues. But it's
So
our
the
high
ties are we broke and they say that we set and jamming.
You know this song? Back
So
in
no
time.
foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talking nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing, it's that is our. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember.
COVID-19 was brought to you by KFC and the Sabga group of companies, together with Early Ross and Rethink Advertising. Anytime you feel moved to reach out and pray, clap, or just genuflect to all those good things about the country, remember Sabga group of companies and KFC.
We could make it if we try.
How was that take commercial?
Just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter. From the country, we analyze just what was the problem. Yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fire the old session managers we had working, and it's a new group. We went and we bring in.
Everything is a new
And the
context.
goods we require them new managers not supplying. When election time come back wrong, it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee that they would never ever put party before country. And if the country facing is that is our, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try. Just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter.
People just tell me, Phillip, hold back on the calypso now. Come now, give it the talk, unleash the zest, give it hard. But I just come in this from a little calypso too, and they have plenty message in the calypso, and 4 verse and chorus sometimes don't be enough. And I just want to set the pace, create the platform, throw it down, so when we start, we all advanced and we inside the guile already. So somebody going and play a Call of Duty. I understand that part now. You can always catch me on the rerun. But Trinidad and Tobago tonight, those of you who are otherwise unoccupied and would like to spend some time with me, we're coming in the guile now. Let me just listen to some good old-fashioned calypso.
When the treasury was full and happy time, some was enjoying. It's in Mova and Laventine, poor people was living. Now the treasury flat and the country come back to square one. Poor people remain on the same old ghetto enjoying. But to get to recover.
Big boom, no boom, catch us, money flowing like ham and jam. Mova, Beatam, Laventine, Silots, East Porter, Spain, Belmont, Gonzales, Never Dirty, Beverly Hills, La Joqueta, Talparo, Embacadere, Edinburgh, 500, River State, Patna, Bagatelle, Covine, Rich Plain, Factory Road, La Puerta, Saganga, Abipuchat, Big Yard, Hague Street, Point Cumana, Cocorit, Waterhole, Harding Place. Them places never see good times. And you know who was there for all them booms, boy? The PNM, boy. That them same people in all them constituency I just called is them just put them in office, boy. Powder Magazine. They build Powder Magazine, and then they build a Powder Magazine next to Powder Magazine, and it come out too good. So they couldn't give it to poor black people, so they put a fire escape and they sell it to the middle class. Trinidad and Tobago, we ain't play with stink and dirty, you know, we nasty, boy.
Today on some footing, it's the same for people 10 days and cola they're taking. And without social unrest for people they in the price. Because they know for the country nothing too much to sacrifice. And if the country facing it's dark sour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember.
And there are other 1% companies that are going to be joining the advertising parade, because we're in full lockdown now, and very soon the only time you'll be able to get a doubles and enjoy at Barra and Chana is at Church's Chicken and Rituals, coming soon.
We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter.
Leroy Callis, the original Black Stallion. The first time I heard him sing a song, it was a song called, I think it was Caribbean Man, from the same place, Caribbean Man, that made the same trip, the Caribbean Man, on the same ship. You remember that song? That's the first time I heard him. He may have been out before, but that's the first time I heard him. And I thought that he was a brilliant lyricist. And his performance was second to none. He channeled that whole rootsy Rastaman finish proper. Yeah? Never a song I want to play for you though. And don't get vexed, eh? The singer is a new friend of mine. I'll give you his name. His name is Stephen Westside Rock. And Stephen dropped a little ditty on us today. And let me see if I can get to play where I have it playing. Because if I have it, yeah? Let me see if I get you to hear a little 2 verse and chorus. Let me see. I'm going to start it from the start. I know what I do. Sometimes I can be so technologically challenged, it's shameful. Don't hold it against me. I want to find the song because he put some effort into it and I kind of love it. I mean, he come out gruff like your boy, But anyway.
Track, yeah. Well, yeah. Mr. Phillip, big up. My name is Stephen Westside Rock. Come to help you end the clusterfuck. What we say? It's too much games, too much messing with we brains. It's time for we to break all the chains. Too much pains, too much money down the drains. T&T, it's time for a change. Cause it's too much games, too much messing with we brains. It's time for we to break all the chains. Too much pains, too much money down the drains. T&T, it's time for a change. So much suffer, so much die. So much time we turn a blind eye. So much ball, so much cry. So much time we catch we ass just to get by. So much time we give them a blind. It's time we give someone new a try. Because too much suffered, too much died. Too much time we let this shit slide. Sweet T&T needs to be free. If you love your country, vote PEP. Cause sweet T&T needs to be free. If you love your country, vote PEP. Vote PEP. It's that easy. Vote PEP. It's that easy. Hey, vote PEP. That easy. Vote PEP. If you love your country, yeah.
That was Stephen Westside Rock, and I tell you, I love it, I love it. He finishing it, he working on it, because I'm bringing out the performer and everybody, because they hear me throw down. They hear me, and people hear that I have other songs in the works. This is the 2020 offering. There we go. Country in a hole, everything out of control. What is? Check it out. 9 o'clock in the morning. Tell me what you doing. 9 o'clock in the morning. What you about? 9 o'clock in the morning. Tell me what you doing. 9 o'clock in the morning. What you about? 9 o'clock on the dot. And no food in the pot. Why? There's a flood on the road. 9 o'clock in the day. You can't see your way. Why? Organized crime. It's organized crime. Everywhere you turn. Crime and more crime. White collar crime. Blue collar crime. No collar crime. We're running out of time. Guys and dolls, could I ask tonight that we stick a pin in the 5G? I know it is either totally harmless or it's going to kill us all. I get it. But there's another clusterfuck on the table right now. They're not plugged in the new clusterfuck yet. Let's deal with this one now, because we have something to talk about. Yeah? Stick a pin in the 5G now. Don't take it personally, because come on that. 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock on the dot. Your salary cut. 9 o'clock in the day. No way to get paid. Traffic on the highway. Traffic on the highway. Bills and more bills. Pills and more pills. Nothing to work, nothing to work, nothing to work, nothing to work. $3 trillion spent, nothing to show. That's how it go in a land named Trindigo. Check this. Nothing to work, nothing to work, nothing to work. Public health fail, public works fail. Local government fail. Central government fail. Nothing to work. Nothing to work. Nothing to work. Nothing to work. 57 years. Tears. 57 years. Prayers. Nothing to work. Nothing to work. No bread in the kitchen. No gas
in the car, no water in the pipe, everybody by the bar. Hole in the pavement, hole in your shoe, hole in your wallet. There's only holes for you. Nothing to work, 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 nothing, nothing, nothing to work, nothing to work.
No. We ain't going into nothing more. We ain't going into nothing more. Have some discipline, Phillip Edward Alexander. This whole night you're gonna be playing music, so we ain't come here for that. We ain't come here for that. No. Listen. It's not World War III. It's not. Venezuela's army is built to suppress civilians and deal with internal cacada. Venezuela army not set up for an invasion from the United States military. It's not. It's not World War III. It's not. This is not, listen, Delta Force alone could take out the whole Venezuela. I don't care what you think you hear. Who mommy tanti from inside the army. I'm telling you. It ain't World War III. They come from Maduro. They went for Saddam. The Republican Guard was supposed to be the second largest army in the world. They take it out in a day. They bomb it from the sky and destroy it. They went for Saddam. They went for Noriega in Panama. Noriega used to come out with the cutlass. You come for me now? Listen. Pump all your brakes on the media bullshit. You see, the media job is to sell shit. The media's job is to glue you to the TV, round the clock, so they could sell shit for Samga and Massey and KFC and Priceman. It's not World War III. We may not hear a boom and a bang, because when the United States military touched down, unless you want a dead, because listen, when the Republican Guard, in the first 12 hours of the interaction with the United States military after the invasion of Kuwait, within 12 hours, they were surrendering to the media, to any white skin they see. Entire battalions, platoons were surrendering, laying down their arms, emptying their tanks, showing them nothing, or pulling out their pocket. The United States is the only country that has been at continuous war for about 200 years. 200 years. I don't care what you think. I don't care what they tell you. Putin will wrestle bears, ride bull, eat raw pig, all that for you. That's cool. But Putin, no. And I want to tell you this. Under normal condition, the United States Army is a deadly thing. They're running their military now from inside America, and I'm not joking to you. They're coming with drones, big like 747s, you know. This is not play anymore. If you don't have, America spends more on their military per hour than most countries spend on food for a lifetime. These people are in the war business. I am not saying I'm picking a side. I'm just telling you. Understand this. So Trump, and I told y'all, they wounded Trump, and the media hitting him, and his spin doctors telling him, we need a distraction. We need a distraction. So they have to pick somebody. And Kim Jong-il happy that Maduro playing the ass, because it would have been Kim. It would have been Kim. He was going there. And somebody said to me, and I believe this, World War III will be a war between countries with nuclear bombs. It will be fought with nuclear weapons. World War IV will be fought with sticks and will be lit by candlelight. Because after World War III, there will be about 7 of us left. There will be about 7 of us left. But to the Venezuelan people, and I know that I have a lot of Venezuelan followers, and I want to tell you this in perfect English. Tell your soldiers, if you hear American boots on the ground, strip down to your drawers. If your drawers army issue, take that off too and run. Run. Because they'll kill you. They'll kill you. They kill you dead. They want hostages. They can't take you back with them because of coronavirus. And if you're in America for a trial, you might get to stay in America and they don't want you there. So they'll kill you. And this is not a time to test it. And I was going to say just now, the American army normally is a frightening thing on this planet. No matter they tell you. I remember when I heard a joke, the Russian military had amassed 1 million men on the border with China. And they woke Mao Zedong. And they told Chairman Mao, they said the Russians have 1 million men on the border. And Mao said, wake me up when they have an army. Because the Chinese army is 100 million men standing. And in the United States of America, they have bombs that one single bomb will fry all 100 million. Don't test it. In 1945, we dropped 2 bombs, Little Boy and Fat Boy, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that was in 1945, when the computing power of this phone here, in 1945, the computing power, I want you to understand what I'm about to tell you. The memory, the read-only memory and the random access memory that makes up a computer, because there's read-only memory for storage and random access memory to actually do the things the computer does. This phone in 1945 would have required a small city of buildings just to house those servers that when you watch the old-time movies, you see 2 big reel-to-reel tapes. Each of those reel-to-reels full is a kilobyte, 1,000 bytes, back to a time when a byte was the size of a dining room table. So you have to understand where we are at in the world, in our history. And the United States of America, their business is war. They sell guns, bombs, tanks. When they realized in World War II that they made a profit off of World War II, because the reason America leads the world now is because of World War II. America was able to sit back and sell arms and ammunition to all sides. And when everybody beat each other senseless, America jumped in and played they was the baddest people in the thing. They weren't. Pound for pound, if America had gone against Germany, mano mano, Germany would have beat them bad. But by the time Germany was facing America, they had done get decimated on the African front, on the Russian front. I mean, if you read the history of World War II by Little Art, and it's a very good book to read, the Russians did the Germans exactly what they did Napoleon's army, and that is they scorched the earth and they retreated. And you follow me into my country. Russia is the biggest country in the world, and they drag you following them into the snow. And an army moves on its stomach. You have to be able to supply and feed those soldiers, or you have no army. And the Germans end up eating their horses and their shoe and their bag to survive. The Russians cut everything down and burn it. It's called scorch the earth. They burned their cities. They burned their towns. They burned their villages. They burned their fields. They burned their forests. They left nothing standing. You couldn't even catch a rat and stray dog to eat. The German army starved to death on the road. That's how they fought war in World War II. This is not what is going on now. Now, America in the bomb, gun, and destruction business. And I wanted to say, and I tried to say it 3 times. I'm going to finish the sentence this time. Under normal conditions, the United States military is the most frightful and powerful armed force the world has ever seen. China and Russia together can't beat America now, because it's not manpower. It's not 100 million men. It's drones from space. Under normal conditions, the United States Army is the most frightful army in the world. But this commander-in-chief, Do you know, some of you not realize it, and I know I have plenty people of every religion on my Facebook. But you notice Al-Qaeda, ISIS, ISIL, everybody gone. You notice you don't hear about none of them. None. Never. Nowhere. They're doing nothing. Because Trump told Saudi Arabia, stop funding them while he erase you off the map. And he is the kind of jackass that would do it. Trump is facing an election, the mother of all elections. Because when he was running on change, all he had to do was talk about what Obama didn't do. But now, North Korea is a joke. North Korea is a punchline to a joke. But now, Donald Trump has to run against the agents of change who are going to judge Donald Trump on what he did. So he is going to have to stack the odds in his favor. And trust me when I tell you this, COVID-19 screwing with that man's re-elections plan. So he is going to have to distract the news cycle. And nothing distracts the news cycle like bombing and war. Because you could tell me 56,000 people dead from coronavirus in 46 days, but 47,000 people could dead tomorrow in a war. And all Americans need to see is a couple American boys get killed. And again, I have no dog in the fight. But I keep telling Keith Rowley, they have an old saying, if you're going to kill the king, don't miss. I'll say it again. If you're going to kill the king, don't miss. Trinidad and Tobago could have facilitated dialogue between Venezuela and America. Trinidad and Tobago never had any business whatsoever in Venezuela business, because even though China and Russia feeding off Venezuela little money and thieving what they could thief. NATO is USA. The United Nations is practically USA. The League of Nations was founded on the American policies. But forget all of that for now. Even though China and Russia taking whatever they could take, they're moving in Venezuela like how a spranger who get through the toilet window in a bar, this move. You could only take about a case of beer at a time and a couple bottles of rum, and you had to have somebody on the outside that you're passing it to, and that's how you're moving, one at a time. No problem. It's a big movement, and you can take and you get away with something. But you're not coming through the front door, because they know that will be a declaration of war against the United States and its interests, and they're not so stupid. So for Trump, having people talk about China and Russia in Venezuela takes the heat off of COVID-19. These fellas are master manipulators of the truth, and they are master manipulators of the narrative. So they're going to allow things that help them. You know the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Well, the news against me that undoes bigger news against me is okay news for me. Yeah? So Trump and his narrative managers, because all of the countries in the world that have elections now, the Americans exporting electoral corruption, PNM and UNC. Every election that we've had since Manning, they've been hiring corruption people out of the United States of America, both the PNM and the UNC, to run the Cambridge Analytica thing you just hear about. I mean, that's to show you how good they are at manipulating the narrative, because PNM had one too, a company called Elite. Elite was the PNM's version of Cambridge Analytica, and it's just a game. Distraction is a good word for it. But at some point, shit gets serious. And I think that shit's about to get serious in Venezuela, because Donald Trump wants one thing: Maduro under arrest. That's what he wants. He wants Maduro and his crew under arrest. This is to Trump, George Bush's, the CIA not involved in this. This is an overt, public, noisy military action. China invented noisy war. Germans invented lightning war. But China, the world has fireworks and drums because China invented fireworks and drums for war. And the first platoon that used to be over the mountain and into the village that China is about to invade is 2 days ahead of the actual army. They have no gun, they have no sword, they have no arrow. All they have is fireworks and noisemakers. And that's all they're doing, frightening the shit out of you. And CNN and Fox and MSNBC are about to broadcast war games in the Caribbean Sea. There will be big ships docking in by Hyatt and in Chagaramas. Brace for it, or don't panic. It's theater. It's not for you. They ain't coming for Rowley. All the shit talk we talking, they have no interest. There is no value to Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley could strip himself naked, light himself on fire in front of the United States Embassy. They have zero interest in him. To the world, Trinidad is the punchline. It's actually a cautionary tale. The world is now in Guyana and Suriname. And the war for Venezuela, the collateral, the benefits, the spoils of war of Venezuela. No, they don't want Ghana, they don't want Rowley, they don't want none of that shit. Those things don't bother them. That's like when you watch Discovery Channel, they have animals that bother big animals, but their bothering serves a purpose because no bison want a bird picking him, but the bird's picking ticks off of him, so he letting that pass. Yeah? What they want, they already set the hope. Maduro is under arrest. Maduro is under arrest. It may not have happened as yet, but I don't have to be Winston Ragu or Yasina to tell you. You are going to see Maduro with a black bag over his head and then big white electrical ties wrung his hand as big burly Marines moving him off Venezuelan soil. You're going to see that. I guarantee you that. If they have to come and find him in Hilton, Trinidad, they don't know where he is. They done watching him on satellite already. They done setting their play and they're waiting for all their releases to interrupt the news cycle and make Donald Trump look effective. And if that bumps it off, if that bumps COVID-19 off the top story, Donald wins. That's the whole purpose of it. He came to a coronavirus news conference to tell the world he's going to arrest Maduro. He's going to arrest Maduro. And no matter what happens, Noriega, is he still alive? Because if he's still alive, he in a cell in Miami. And they hang Saddam. So know this. So I just want to end this one. There is no World War III to happen. It's no, I doubt it's going to be a big... It can't be. Venezuelan soldiers not so stupid. Venezuelan soldiers have the internet. They have to know. They have to know that whatever it is they have, the best that they have is joke. An American soldier is a frightful... And what he represents, what backs him up, don't fight it. Maduro day is done. And no matter, the only thing that getting Maduro off the hook is if something bigger, a bigger distraction comes along. If something more important comes along. That is the only way Maduro getting off the hook. No, the only reason I bring up Rago names, I like to make fun of that jackass reading people cards. Reading people cards, but I went on his wall to see if he was predicting who was going and dead from coronavirus, who was going to get sick, what Rowley was going to say. It seems that their predictions, they don't even know when KFC going to raise the price. What is the point of a psychic who just gives you the same shit that the astrologers give you in the bomb and the heat? Today you're going to meet somebody special who's going to smile at you in that special way. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, maybe a week from now. And it could be somebody with blonde hair or black hair and 2 legs or maybe even 4. Who knows? But it will happen at some point. It's easy to spin. Communications. When we learn to communicate, we learn to spin, we learn to talk shit, we learn to lie to each other. You ever saw that movie, The Invention of Lying? I thought that was the greatest concept for a story ever written. And I wish they had included me in the writing of that story. I could have added so much to that. But it's beautiful because the invention of lying. Imagine what it takes to tell a lie. to convince somebody that something that is not true is true. That is a brilliant skill. That is a superpower that humans have. Yeah? I remember I used to think Yasina was serious until she went home and found that they broke into her house. And I just asked how she didn't know this was coming. You know, I mean, until you see psychic wins lottery, they tell you it doesn't work that way. Until you see a faith healer raising up people from the dead from actual things like coronavirus, ignore the ass, no man, they're just conning you. It's a con job. That makes them con artists, making money. And my boy do well, you know, he buy a house in Fairways off of conning people money. He do well. But anyway, that's a story for other people. Somebody tell me that Phillip is not you, they don't like, you know, it's the truth that you just tell, it's burn them. And it's burn their skin like sunlight, it's burn vampire. You just give them a kind of truth that they're not ready for. They can't argue with you, they'll attack you. They'll attack you, they can't attack what you're saying. Because what you're saying is fact. And it's too much fact. It's like garlic and holy water. Can't take that. So they attack you. And then I go and pay people like Daryl Duku, come and stunt and make a joke and can't skin up your face and your ass all over Facebook to distract people from the truth of the facts that I speak. All of them together, Rhoda Barrett, Daryl Duku, Inshan, Ishmael, Winston, Ragu, the entire Ragamuffin bunch together, if they stood up on a stage as a tag team to debate me, I on one podium, all of them on the other podium, who do you think will win? If it was a battle of wits, that would be unfair and I'd consider myself a bully. Because between the four of them, they have to chip up to make one original thought. And I can't do them that. They get me angry sometimes. And then people have to tell me, boy, Phillip, you're taking on stupidness. If these people have followers, if there are people that actually believe Rhoda Barrett, you could imagine how sad that person's condition has to be. Imagine if you're following Inshan Ishmael, how sad and little your life have to be, how desperate your circumstances to take that as something to look up to. There was a guy named Angelo Stefan Hart. I don't know what he looks like. I just like his three names. He brave, he come out with three names, and he always here posting about the movement for social justice. The MSJ is a real political party, and those of you who are not happy with the PEP come across the MSJ. And I always just want to ask him one question. What does the MSJ do besides stand up like some back it up girls behind David Abdullah, who's been talking shit for about 30 years? What does the MSJ do? If somebody could tell me what they've done, what they've accomplished in all this time, what they've done. When you look around at the political landscape, all you see are actors and players whose job it is to obfuscate and take away from the actual conversation that the people are supposed to be having. So we have to wade through it. This morning I say this is a no vagabond zone from today. Some people took umbrage and I understand that. But I can't continue to be wading through the bullshit and the noise. I can't. I don't want to bad talk nobody. You all know I just ignore all of them. I say nothing about them. Their whole wall is Phillip Alexander. Look at Samuel Stafford. I told you all that man gonna kill himself. He gonna do something to himself, violent and public. I remember there was a song called Shot Boy. And it had come out right after Kurt Cobain had killed himself, Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. And people thought Shot Boy was about that, but it wasn't about that. There was a United States congressman or a senator or a mayor or a governor, I think it was a governor, who was accused of corruption, and they were circling the wagons, and he called a press conference and pulled out a 357 Magnum, point in his mouth and blow his head off, live on camera. Now, I don't want to call that on Stafford, but every time the man talks, he is further down Alice's rabbit hole, and he is seeing some things and saying some things. I'm telegraphing this. If there are anybody in the world who cares about Samuel Stafford, get the boy some help. He's not a bad fella, you know. He's not a bad fella. Get him some help. Get him some. He needs to talk to a therapist. He needs some kind of therapy. Again, I'm not trying to say he's a bad guy. I think everybody have redeemable qualities. Everybody. You know they ever saying everybody lights up a room, some by coming, others by going. everybody have redeemable qualities. I don't want to misuse the powers that I have. I don't want to misuse the powers that I have to abuse other people. That is a misuse of powers. I want to be very careful. But I need my followers to know that I am not a weak man, you know. I don't care about any of them. Mario Merritt and Wayne Sturge tell me today, don't block Keith Rowley. But I was going to block him because I think he's a vagabond among vagabonds, a jackass. When you have to resort, you are the prime minister of the country. And when you have to resort to race baiting to keep your supporters in line, you're nothing. You're less than nothing. Because as the prime minister of the country, and I want to tell you this, if ever I am prime minister of a country, the one thing that has to dominate my conversation at every step of the way is unification. Because until we get a prime minister in this country that understands that half a ship can't sink and the other half makes its way along the way, we're going nowhere. We have to have real deep unification. We need healing. This country needs a level of forgiveness and healing deep. All the Douglas talk and the red man talk and all this shit, all of that to go. We've been suffering as one people under one flag for 57 years, fighting on the floor, while those on the top make off with this nation's treasures, and we like asses, complete asses, blaming each other. I had a partner whose wife was hoarding him. His wife was horning him with everybody. All his friends knew. All his friends knew that his wife was horning him. But we knew that he couldn't deal with the truth. Couldn't deal with the truth. So we used to give him every reason to rethink his relationship. But we couldn't come right out and say your wife is being unfaithful to you. Because he's not the kind of guy that assembled to process and manage truth. And with horning Jeremy, horning, all kind of man. And so I don't think anybody ever told him. To this day, nobody ever told him because he can't handle the truth. And they have a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago that cannot handle the truth of why we're here. They need to tell themselves lies. And they need to hold on to those lies. And I realized, I told in a conversation with Felicia Satish and Sean Sunarain, I said, I just realized that Trinidadians want to be lied to. We want it. We need it. We need it. Because the truth of our condition is so sad. Until like the PNM supporters are so relieved that there is a COVID-19. Because if there wasn't a COVID-19, this is an election year, or it's supposed to be an election year, May, June, July, August, September. We're 5 months away from September. And this is the year that the PNM was supposed to defend its track record. Kevin, a lot of people still with her. This is the year that the PNM was going to have to defend its track record. And maybe that's why they did such a sloppy job and didn't stop the COVID-19 from coming into the country, so they could have all of this distraction and that they could pretend that the economic collapse is because of COVID-19 and not because of PNM. We've been suffering as a nation the worst affliction of all. COVID-19 and the 100 people that have it is a joke. We've lost 10,000 people to murder in this country. And forget that. The PNM is an affliction like no other. Trinidad and Tobago is supposed to have $1 trillion in a heritage and stabilization fund, managed and invested in an interest-bearing account, making $100 billion a year, paying the $60 billion to run the country, and put in 40 billion to compound interest for next year. But we don't. It's in Johnny O and Calder Hart and Lawrence Dupre and all of these bandits, Ish and Steve and Hafiz Karamat and the jackass from SIS. And you could list the names. You could list the names. There's so many. And now the contract mafia. I mean, the contract mafia that created itself around the PNM. They spent an incubation period with Kamla because a lot of these same people in the contract mafia was making big money under the People's Partnership. So it's not like it's just the PNM. But listen, under the People's Partnership, the contract mafia are artists. They paint beautiful corruption. But with the PNM, they are masters. With the PNM, they paint masterpieces. The kind of corruption, when you hear there's a corruption that took place in Tobago under Orville London, the THA, and it took place in Tobago that I think that books should be written. They should study this in school. Trinidadians have invented a level of corruption not seen anywhere else in the world, you know. We do a kind of theft here. We do intricate layers of theft. You remember that show with Leonardo DiCaprio, where you could fall asleep and have a dream, and inside that dream, you could dream a next dream, and if you dream that dream properly, you could change reality. What was the name of that show? You know what I'm talking about, right? And he had to make sure that he could tell which of his realities was reality. In Trinidad, we do corruption like that. Inception, that's the name of that movie. This is corruption inception. If you've never heard this story before, sit down and you might want to take notes because it's absolutely amazing. A group of people, I don't want to call their names or their race, but let's say that it rhymes with Durians. And they bought a piece of land in Tobago. And they sold the piece of land to the THA for more money than they paid for it. That sounds right. Okay, everybody, we know it's Inception. Thanks a lot. We got $1 million. You all are on the board. Hear this, right? So they bought a piece of land and they sold it to the THA. Now, Young Sing say, before you start, know how you're finishing. And I think that this was a well-planned plan. So none of this happened accidentally. But if I tell you the story the way I have to tell you in a linear fashion, so you could follow what took place, you had to say that even though you're angry with these people because they're stealing public funds, you had to be impressed with the level of planning. No, I said it rhymes with Durians. Anyway, you play the fool with that. When will the 1% have been poor people during this crisis? Brandon, stick a pin in that. Christ have to come back first. So they bought this piece of land and they sold it to the THA for more money than they paid for it. And then they got the THA to lease them back that piece of land for tiny money. So they now no longer own the land. They've been paid a profit on the land and they're still in control of the land for 199 years. They now, on that piece of land, are going to build a building on what is now THA's land. But they are going to build a building to lease to the THA at a massive rent. And the THA signed the deal before the building was built. Now, if that alone was all they did, 100 points out of 100, boy. But they went a step further. The THA funded the construction of the building. I'm telling you, that is religion's level corruption. That is brilliant. I mean, I couldn't. The first time I heard it, I was in such awe that people could come up with that they could execute that. That's Trinidad. That's Trinidad. Real story. And that is joke to some of the things that happen downtown, Queen Street, Charlotte Street, Frederick Street. If you ever had a government that all it did was go back in time from now to September 1st, 1962, 12:01 a.m. And all it did is put people from now going backwards, examining every deal that the state engaged in any private sector deal, any quasi-private sector deal, any financier deal. Just look. All we're doing is looking. I'm sure there are deals that will make that look like a joke. I mean, when Faris Al-Rawi and Patrick Manning signed the lease for One Alexandra Place, Alexandra Place didn't have approvals as yet, so the signing was illegal and the lease could have been vacated on that. The change of use from what the property was to what it is now was not done yet, and the lease could have been vacated on that. Manning, when he signed the lease with Faris, Manning was no longer the Prime Minister. The Parliament had been, the Parliament had already been dissolved. It was election time. And according to law, the Prime Minister and the members of Parliament, they can't enter into no deals or transactions like that. Apsara's joke. Apsara is a sprinkle of salt on a pigback. When Manning signed that lease, he didn't have the authority to sign it, and it could have been vacated. On that, the UNC came to office 6 weeks later to find a lease executed between the Nahus family, Faris in-laws, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago for a building that cannot be used because of tongue and country, and it cannot be used because of change of use, and it cannot be used because it wasn't finished. And they could have vacated that building for any one of those reasons, besides the fact that Manning didn't have the authority. But Chandra Sharma was the one that they gave it to, and they gave out contracts on this building, $25 million to put in an elevator, $80 million to renovate it. And by the time Marlene Kudre got that building, 2 years later, still nothing was done. They had a desk, I think maybe a computer, 100 million extra spend. I mean, One Alexandra Place alone, just there, is such a ground zero of corruption. But it's such a small corruption. Somebody just mentioned Apsara. National Insurance Board lent money to Apsara to buy the building from them and gave it back to them rent-free or peppercorn rent to use, and they could pay back that money at any time without interest. That is even better terms than the terms of the bailout of Clico and CL Financial. And this is not what I came to talk to you about. But these truths, when people realize that their family members lived in squalor, degradation, and sufferation for no reason other than criminal behavior of the government, business people, members of the professional class, and public servants. When Trinidadians, if ever Trinidadians are confronted with that, I want to say this again. I'm touching on issues tonight, and I have no dog in the fight. And some of them are heinous and reprehensible, but I'm not debating them to an end, because people are not ready to debate some of these things to an end. But there have been children who've been raped by priests. And all the evidence was there that children were raped by priests. But it was such a difficult thing for parents to accept that they told their children that they were lying. Cognitive dissonance prevented parents from taking their children's side, having been raped by pedophiles, because it was the church, and because it was priests, and because it was their religion. And that to confront that priests in their religion could use the church to rape children was inconceivable. Therefore, it was unacceptable. And everybody was supposed to move on. And again, I say to you, it's heinous, it's reprehensible. Never saying to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. Wear what you like, comb your hair how you like it, bathe as much times a day as you like, work for as much or as little as you want, live where you want, how you want, dress how you want, drive where you want. The world needs to step off. The world needs to step off this group speak. This we say sheeple in joke when we're talking about people, but it's worse than that. We live in a hive. We live in a hive. We have hive mentality. And it's easy to just throw shit and we go with it. So like today, because since this COVID virus in the news and in the conversation, people have been sharing P&M nonsense about everything to do with, if you in the P&M, you clawing over other people to be the best supporter of everything the government doing. And I guess I understand that. But when it's detrimental to a country, you have to put country first, as Stalin said. So they have this picture of this guy with a donkey on his back. Right? And they keep sharing this picture as a reason to tell people, if you're seeing people not listening to the rules, get them to listen to the rules, and that this picture shows you a soldier that so understands that he carried his donkey on his back because he didn't want his donkey to trip landmines and kill everybody else. And that sounded so rational to people that they bought that bullshit and they started to share it. And I know it's bullshit, but I'm watching. I keep telling you all on the videos that I know things that I'm not saying anymore because I want to, somebody told me, make it a science. Study human, Sean Sinorian, study human behavior. So I no longer, and Ian Griffith tell me, keep some of your gunpowder dry at all times. So I'm not dealing with everything one time. So I let them share it, and they're sharing it. And rational thinking people, otherwise intelligent, degreed people, are reading this story that this soldier is carrying this donkey on his back so that the donkey doesn't inadvertently trip a landmine and kill everybody. And I am watching this thing, and it's saddening me because I'm thinking it can't be so easy. So I'm thinking to myself, Philip, do you have to find a way to craft the truth in a lie to deliver it? Is that what we have to do? Because if they can't take the truth head on and they're willing to buy bullshit, they're actually saying, please, give it to me as bullshit. And we want it soft and runny, and we don't want to have to work for our bullshit. So I had to say tonight, because today I have some time, so I said I'll take this one down, and I want to see what the pushback would be. So I said, this picture is making the rounds on the internet with a story saying that this, I redid the exact graphic, I just took out their words and put in the correct, my words now. This picture is making the rounds on the internet with a story saying that this soldier is carrying this donkey so that it does not step on a mine and kill everybody. That is nonsense. The soldier cannot know where buried mines are to avoid them. But P&M supporters cannot understand that due to being victims of a P&M education. So they are spreading this foolishness as with all other P&M propaganda they're given and leading each other astray. The true story about that donkey is that in 1958, that donkey was some creature of abuse or some shit, and they took this picture of this soldier who had rescued this donkey in some mission that they was on. And if you go on Snopes, or you could even go on Google, I'm sure it's on Google, but the man can step on it. Afzal, not only that, if you look at the picture, the man up to his waist in bush. So even if the mines were laid on the ground where you could see it, I mean, what kind of jackass enemy you're fighting? Because claymore mines and any kind of mines that have a trigger, they bury it. A surface of sand. You can't see it. And it's just the trigger that you smash. It's just pressure. So it's bullshit. But even if it was in raw sand, you still couldn't see it. But this man, he up to his waist in bush. And people are watching this, and I'm asking, and it reminded me, when I was in St. Mary's College in Form 2, we had a history teacher who was very aggressive. He actually hung himself the other day, Mr. De Silva. But we had to do this project, and it was on slavery and on the fields, and I had written this thing, and I was late, and I was just making shit up because I'm a wordsmith and I can lie well, and I just writing, and people copied my writing that morning because everybody forgot that we were late. And no, he didn't have a metal detector, he just had a donkey on his back. But anyway, so I'm writing, and I wrote things and I made stuff up, and I found out after that one of the things I wrote was pure bullshit. But everybody who copied it got the same high marks that I got from the same teacher who didn't know. And in Form 2, that was a very awakening lesson. That was an awakening lesson in Form 2 in St. Mary's College, because I realized that the teacher does not know what he professes that he knows. I keep telling people, question everything. For a long time, I tell people on my videos, Google what I am telling you. If you could prove me wrong, we will fix, we will change, we will edit. I have no problem with that. But I am a very researched person. Today, somebody had to point out, Christian Mute wasn't the head of the committee, he just on the committee. I removed the word head. You win. You found out that he was not the head. And then Wayne Sturge reminded me he was the head of another committee investigating the Sea Bridge. That's how I conflated and confused two issues regarding Christian Mute, who I couldn't give a rat's ass about. So all I know is his connection to KFC, and that he is on the committee, and KFC shouldn't get any special advantages. And if you are a COVID-19 committee, and the world standard is, if you're going to leave restaurants open because we're engaging in social distancing, curbside. But they don't want to do curbside. They don't want to do drive-through. So KFC is doing business as usual in their air-conditioned restaurants with people lined up behind each other, next to each other, dealing with cashiers and servers over a counter, normal business. But it's owned by the people who are on the COVID-19 task force charged with finding reasons to protect us from COVID-19. So if that's not bullshit, then this is. Selling doubles on the side of the road, in open air, hot sun, easier to control than KFC. Because doubles, you only have two choices, with or without pepper. All of you who's have to go in Starbucks and scratch your head and scratch your ass to make up your mind about how you're buying a cup of coffee, there should be a special place in hell for you. You shouldn't have so many confusions for choice over something like a doubles. And it's because of people like you, we can't all just walk up to a doubles box and stay 3 feet behind each other and say, 4 with, 2 without, get our 6 bags and go. because people take too long. But I'm saying that it is proper bullshit, and I am not trying to pile on recalcitrant minority, but that came out your mouth, Keith Rowley. You could have found any other way to talk about people who are not paying attention to the government, who are being disobedient, as you want to call it, without channeling the race baiting of Eric Williams. But when you combine recalcitrant minority and the fact that doubles and roti shops are closed, but KFC and Subway and churches and rituals open, and Starbucks, then Houston, we have a problem. We have a serious, serious problem where the government is now clearly using the power of the people against the people to the benefit of the government and its friends. And that is misbehavior in public office, no matter how you twist it, turn it, cut it, open it, same animal. Misbehavior in public office. And in a real country, right now, we would be taking them to task on that. But only social media is. Traditional media can't. Because traditional media is owned by the companies that own these businesses that benefit from the government. So the 1% that you all talk about, this is where we have a problem with them. Because this is criminal misbehavior in public office. This is the job for the Equal Opportunities Commission. Every double seller in this country should take the PNM, not the PNM, sorry, the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, before the Equal Opportunities Commission. Now, before they call any kind of state of emergency to evade answering, because you see, that they have. When he said in his meeting, we still have the force of law to rely on. I want to tell that jackass, we have the force of the vote. And the same way Papa Doc Manning end up getting pelt with rotten mango in Balize house, the day of you glorifying yourself could come to an end quicker than you and your handlers envision. Now I want you to be clear as a bell. The reason I don't talk about the United National Congress in anything I say is because I don't talk about dead things. And I am absolutely certain that the United National Congress has nothing of value to bring to this country anymore. That Pandey and Kamala, on 2 different occasions, sold themselves as not being the PNM. In the movie The Invention of Lying, Coca-Cola advertised itself and Pepsi-Cola advertised itself as we are not Coke. And that's the only real campaign that takes place in this country. The United National Congress is a complete waste of time. And with the exception of Rudal Monilal, who's still out there trying to do something today, Suraj Rambachan parroted one of my statements. And I watched 7 hours later. You are a member of parliament, a former government minister. And in 7 hours, you had 14 likes, 13 of them is your children. That means nobody cares what you say. And that's an indictment. So this morning I had to block one of my followers, Daniel Jackson, because I was dealing with a lot of PNM onslaught and pushback because they time it. And I could manage, I could deal. I'm a strong guy, and I love sometimes to play around with them a little bit. It's sport, it's theater. Because they come in my guile thinking that they could manage. And every now and then, and they have to come, they don't come water. They have to come and tag. So that they all attack at the same time. But I've devised a strategy for that. That you, who is the bring leader, I block in everybody else. They can't see me, and they can't see what I say. So you have to keep repeating what I say to get cheering from them. But nobody else on my wall seeing what they're saying anyway. So you lost. And you have to manage social media like that. But this morning, I had to block Daniel Jackson because he was coming on my wall and I was taking the fight to the PNM today. And every time I said something, Daniel was coming on one of my threads to say, don't forget the UNC. Don't forget the UNC. I have completely forgotten the UNC to the point where I am ashamed of what I am about to say. But if Kamala wasn't high in that field with those tomatoes, if she thought, and the person holding the camera agreed, there's a guy who drives a pink car, a taxi. He drives a pink car. You know, all the girls have this same brown handbag that have this, I don't know what the symbol is, but all over the handbag. I think it's Gucci or it's one of them things, but it's a color brown and all the girls have it. And they have this, it's all over it. This guy painted his car pink with that symbol all over the car. So he's driving a clutch purse, a pink one. And I'm thinking, there are a lot of people responsible for this car. Because if he came up with the idea, somebody at least had to agree. And then a painter, coach. And then a painter had to do it, and do it carefully. To be able to come out like what it set out to come out. And I thought to myself that Kamala, it would have been too easy, and I let it pass. I watched to see how the public responded. I wanted to see what they did with it, and they did nothing. They left it alone because I think by now she's made herself irrelevant. You are the leader of the opposition. You're the leader of the opposition in a country facing a pandemic of epic proportions being mismanaged at clusterfuck levels by the government. And you're doing nothing. And you're saying nothing. And you're bringing nothing to the conversation. And one morning out of the blue, wearing the darkest shades you could find, you find yourself in a field talking about you growing tomatoes. You remind me of every high friend I have ever had when they were high, while you were in that field. So when I don't talk about the UNC, don't think that I am ignoring the UNC. I have forgotten the UNC. In my mind, the Kamala could still command a mass of Indian people and will vote for the UNC because they're Indian or because they're Hindu. And I know that. I know that. The UNC is 30 years old, so it's not institutional like the PNM that is 62 years old. So a tanti gave it to a granny, that gave it to a mommy, that gave it to you. The UNC is still new enough, and it's still Pandey and Kamala. So it still is, you can't blame it on anything other than overt racism or religion. And bro and sis, if your politics is going to be based on something as trite as that, and not what is best for your country, then you deserve what you get. And I will be calm in my future life if we do not win. But in my mind, the only fight that is worth being fought at elections time is the Progressive Empowerment Party versus the PNM. There's no other value. The UNC brings nothing to the conversation. They don't have a new plan. They don't have a new idea. They're trying to escape from themselves. So they're appointing people as candidates that are so new that nobody inside the UNC know them. And they're trying to make a point that we're distancing ourselves from ourselves, which begs a question. Why? Why are you running away from yourself? Is it because your former members of parliament were incompetent or criminally corrupt? Why are you trying to escape from the people that helped you build your party and go into government? And again, I don't care what you'll do. I just trying to tell you, like Rudal Murilal tonight, when he sent out his WhatsApp and he says that he's out and about helping, I said take off the words out and about, because you're supposed to be isolating and distancing, and nobody wants to hear you boasting that you're out and about. And that's understanding communication. And he trying to keep himself relevant. I give him props for that. But he's doing a piss poor job communicating, and the whole country think he thief billions and build a mall somewhere in Sweden or Switzerland or Holland or somewhere. But every night you'll see me with that cup, and people ask what I'm drinking. I drink this. And yes, it's not an ad. It's 1% water, because it's still better than what comes in the tap. And the reason I have to drink this is because I live in a country that has 10,000 times the water it could ever need falling from the sky magically, but it doesn't make its way to taps and tanks. So we have to buy water bottles, and so I drink this. Country I live in. So this Dominic Hadid, he gets to make millions of dollars just because Wassa can't do his job. And Wassa can't do his job, and the PNM supporters will tell you, it's not Rowley work, you know. It's Wassa board, it's the minister, it's Rowley. But the buck stops with Rowley. And the day every single person in this country gets that it never was about Eric or George or Robbie or Manning or Pandey or Kamala or Rowley. And it was always about who is in that seat is responsible for the management of Trinidad and Tobago in the best interest of everybody. That the well-being of every citizen, we made that the definition up because there was no definition. So we had to come and tell them the well-being of every single citizen is the function and the purpose of the government. This morning I had to go and do a video with homeless people next to Kappa Drugs opposite Pizza Hut Roxy, and their condition was so damnable, so saddening. And people watched the video and eat their food and went back about their business. And I'm dealing with these people, and I'm watching them and I'm thinking, how could we think that they have a God or a Allah or a Jesus or a Mother Lakshmi or a Buddha or whoever the Shouter Baptist praying to or whoever everybody else praying to? How could we believe that whoever your God is, he could be looking down on Trinidad and Tobago and waiting to bless people when we abuse our petty power over each other so blatantly? Our egos, our greeds, our constant dick measuring has ruined this country. We've ruined it. Trinidad is a shit show. I make a song, I say nothing to work. Challenge it. Tell me something that works. Nothing. Let me give them a little heads up. They're going to react to this fast. But I was waiting to see what they do. In fact, no. I was sticking a pin. I wanted to fall on them because I needed to fall on them. I need Trinidadians to see it. I can't give them no more heads up. So I'm not. So when the PNM people come on my wall and say, well, tell me what to do. No. Not now. Not this year. Not with this. All you have the answers, run with it. I will tell you every step of the way when you're messing up. I ain't telling you what I would have done or what you should have done or what you could have done. You know where you do it. You're the boss. Run with it. We will be here to list the consequences of your incompetence and your criminal corruption at the time when an election bell is rung. Trinidad and Tobago will then have every good opportunity to make a proper decision to fix the country that we live in. And it'll be entirely up to them when election time come around to make that decision on their own. If, like the joke says, the difference between Trinidad hell and Trinidad heaven is in Trinidad hell, they're supposed to throw a bucket of shit on you every day. But when they have bucket, they have shit. And when they have shit, they have bucket. And when the devil trying to ring St. Peter for help, the phone ain't working. And we've said that as a joke 50 years now. We've known it's a shit show. Every single person. Here, every creed and race knows our country is a shithole. It's a rat hole. It's a failed nation. They have some jackasses outside there that grooming themselves, trying to find a girlfriend that want to come on Facebook and say, you can't call the country that. What do I call it? Would a rose by any other name be sweeter? What do you want to call it? First word, develop, conscious. What you think? Nothing works. You live in a country where nothing works. We've had more money than God. We have no money now. You live in a country where nothing works. There's only one solution. Now, I want to read something to you, and I want you to understand that it is being read for you to think. I am drawing no more conclusions for people, but I will kill people with information. I will cover you with information. I will bring knowledge that you can't escape. We're told by government and media talking heads that we're in a war with the COVID-19 virus. The threat from said virus is supposedly so potent that famine, poverty, suicide, and utter dependence on government is preferable to contracting the illness. We're told to huddle in our homes and social distance ourselves from other humans at least 6 feet. Now we're told it's advisable to wear a mask when one is shopping for necessities like food and medicine. Every day, the news media appears to revel in upping the fear index by showing pictures of mobile clinics and morgues being erected in cities like New York. We're shown leaked pictures of body bags with what appears to be corpses inside stacked up in said morgues. I think it's important to bear in mind that the government and media have been lying to the American people for many decades. This is a fact, not a conspiracy theory. To drive the point home, our current Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, recently joked about the fact that the government agents are indoctrinated in techniques to lie, cheat, and steal. The supposed leaked pictures of stacked serve a very useful purpose for the elites. See there, if you don't obey us unquestioningly, you could wind up in one of those bags. Isn't it amazing that you never see leaked pictures of dead American servicemen and women returning from never-ending wars overseas? Somehow the authorities forgot to place security teams around the mobile morgues so anyone with a cell phone could snap a few pictures whenever they chose and leak them to social media and the press. This does not pass the smell test. So what do those body bags really hold? I'm so cynical after being lied to by the government for so long that I can't say for sure. Yes, there could be genuine dead bodies in there, and some of them may have died from the virus. But we're discovering that the vast majority of the alleged victims of COVID-19 actually had other health issues like obesity, heart disease, cancer, chronic respiratory conditions, and so forth. I'm sure there are a few cases where COVID-19 was the primary cause of death, but the percentages are so small as to make the lockdown of our society laughable if it wasn't so serious. On the other hand, in a city as large as New York, with a population nearly 8.5 million people, there are approximately 58,000 deaths annually from all causes according to 2018 statistics. So for all we know, the authorities could be gathering up these bodies and piling them in the mobile morgue to prove to the people that they need to obey or else. Of course, anyone who questions the official narrative is an obvious nutcase and worthy of consideration. Maybe, but think about this. The US public was told by government officials that the North Vietnamese had attacked US naval ships in the Gulf of Tonkin, which was the excuse to launch the Vietnam War, which took the lives of some 56,000 US servicemen and women and scarred hundreds of thousands more. Today, we know for a fact it was all made up, fiction, a fake fairy tale. Yes, today officials have different names, but they've all been steeped in the same DC swamp like Pompeo, who openly admits the deceit as official policy. Of course, we're told that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and we had to invade Iraq to keep the world safe. Once again, a proven lie. Of course, we could go on and on about the non-stop lying by our government officials. But when it comes to COVID-19, we're assured that they're not lying about that. But the facts suggest otherwise, as hospitals, even in the epicenter of New York City, remain eerily quiet. In fact, medical professionals are being laid off, furloughed, and even fired as the US healthcare industry has ground to a halt. All medical care that can be delayed or deferred has been with catastrophic financial results for the nation's hospitals and medical professionals. It's outrageous and it must stop now. We the people are being played and bullied into economic self-destruction by monsters with a grand global plan for domination. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but we live in a crazy world. We the people must say enough. We will not cower in our houses any longer. We will not allow our livelihoods to disappear so we can be wards of the state. We will not obey legal orders against communal worship, especially at Easter when we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Enough of the fear-mongering and panic. Yes, some of us may die from COVID-19, and if that happens, it will be sad. But life will go on. Much better to die as a free man than cower in fear as a slave to the state's totalitarian dictates, which make a mockery of our constitutional rights. These thugs who would ignore our constitutional rights only have power if we give it to them. They are trying to destroy our constitution, the very document they all swore to uphold. We the people must stand up to this blatant attack on our rights. It's time to get some backbone and push back against those who claim to want to protect us but really want to enslave us. I want to tell you who wrote that, so you will know it's not a nutcase. Well, some of you might think he's a nutcase. Ronald Ernest Paul is an American author, physician, and retired politician who served as the United States representative for Texas's 22nd Congressional District from 1976 to 1977, and again from 1979 to 1985, and for Texas's 14th Congressional District from 1997 to 2013. On 3 occasions, he sought the presidency of the United States as a Libertarian Party nominee in 1988 and as a candidate in the Republican primaries of 2008 and 2012. Paul is a critic of the federal government's fiscal policies, especially the existence of the Federal Reserve and the tax policy, as well as the military-industrial complex and the war on drugs. He has also been a vocal critic of mass surveillance policies such as the USA Patriot Act and the NSA surveillance program. He was the first chairman of the conservative Public Action Committee Citizens for a Sound Economy and has been characterized as the intellectual godfather of the Tea Party movement. Paul served as a flight surgeon in the United States Air Force from 1963 to 1968 and worked as an obstetrician gynecologist from the 1960s to the 1980s. He became the first representative in history to serve concurrently with their child in Congress when his son, Rand Paul, was elected to the United States Senate from Kentucky in 2010. Paul is a senior fellow of the Mises Institute and has published a number of books and promoted the ideas of economists of the Austrian school such as Murray Rothbard and Ludwig von Mises during his political campaigns. That is Ron Paul. He wrote that. Now, I know that I am getting pushback for the position that I am taking. And I know that it is hard to accept because we've been scared shitless. Some of us would have to borrow shit to come back to the conversation. Consider the arguments made by these highly esteemed experts in the fields from the United States, UK, Germany, Japan, and France. Dr. John P.A. Leonardis, chances are war on corona is a fiasco in the making. Politicians are rushing to drastic measures without reliable data. Dr. Wolfgang Wodarg, how Dr. Wolfgang Wodarg sees the current corona pandemic. Italy National Health Institute, 99% of those who died from the virus had other illnesses. Italy says 50% had 3 or more. Dr. David L. Katz, United States, 99% of COVID-19 bug cases do not require medical treatment. Data from South Korea shows. Dr. Karen Molling, Germany. German virologist of international renown warns government lockdowns are a horrible mistake will make crisis worse. Dr. Sucharit Bakdi from Germany, fantastic video interview. German infectologist, government lockdowns are collective suicide will shorten the lives of millions. Dr. Esron Brendavid and Dr. J. Bhattacharya from the United States, Stanford professors for WSJ, COVID-19 fatality rate estimates too high by orders of magnitude. Dr. Gerd Bosbach, Germany, renowned German mathematician and professor of statistics, slams dramatization of COVID-19. Dr. Sunitra Gupta, UK, Oxford study, half of UK population may already have been infected with SARS-CoV-2 and didn't feel a thing. Dr. John Lee, United Kingdom, a fantastic recap of everything that is wrong with the hysterical corona spin by one hell of a scientist. Dr. Kenji Mizumoto from Japan, Japanese study estimates COVID mortality rate in Wuhan was just 0.12%. Dr. Suchat Bakdi from Germany, German infectologist, decimates COVID doomsday cult in open letter to Merkel. Dr. Jans Roussel and others, France, fear could have a larger impact on the virus itself. Study founded by French government says COVID-19 is nothing special. Dr. John Lee, UK, how to understand and report figures for COVID death. And last but not least, Dr. Andrew Fauci, America's corona czar. Andrew Fauci concedes COVID-19 may be just a bad flu with a fatality rate of 0.1%. All of those things that I just read are links to those stories. If you want it, message me or I will publish it on my wall. You can get it from Kirk Megu. He's also a resource for this. There's something I had to share yesterday and some of you may have missed it. Again, the easiest thing to do is to do what Vasant Bharat did. The easiest thing to do. Make a video that fits right in and says, we will make it, let's hold hands and kumbaya ourselves through this. But you don't need that. You need leadership. You need people who can unspin the spin. You need people who are willing to stand up and speak truth to power, like myself and Gary Griffin, who, if it wasn't for Gary Griffin, we'd be in a police state tonight. Trinidad and Tobago is living proof that but for a few good men, that is all that stands between us and the darkness. I called out a woman a couple nights ago on my video and I said to her, you married a doctor, you should know better tonight. She sent me this. We need a journalist to investigate the cover-ups of this COVID outbreak. Number of related deaths that were deemed COVID but not tested. Delays, short staff and long hours at CARFA. The reagents that the minister didn't order when he placed the order for test kits. Way too much is being covered up. An investigation needs to be done. This is where we're heading. This is where we're heading. I want you to hear this one last thing, because I was not touching on COVID-19, but I want to touch this because all I want you to have is the ability to critically think. Somebody said to me today, anyway, forget that. I mean, we gain information. Listen to this.
The virus can cause mainly mild disease.
This is Dr. Trotman when the PNM needed the narrative. Now, I had brought into the public space that the coronavirus was coming and that to protect the country, we needed to shut down the country. And I didn't know that on January 31st, the same government who had Dr. Trotman tell you what I'm going to play for you, where she is obviously contradicting this. And whereas Trinidad and Tobago has been advised recently by the World Health Organization of the existence of 2019 novel coronavirus, a highly infectious and dangerous disease which is currently occurring in various locations around the world, and whereas the Minister of Health believes that due to the speed and ease of international travel, Trinidad and Tobago can ultimately expect the arrival of 2019 novel coronavirus and the devastating effects on its public health. Now, therefore, I, Paula May Weeks, President, as aforesaid, do hereby declare the 2019 novel coronavirus to be a dangerous infection disease, given under my hand this 31st day of January 2020. This is a proclamation by the President, and I want you to understand the far-reaching power of a proclamation. It stands head and shoulders above the Constitution. So a proclamation takes time to word and to plan and to organize. You better have your ducks in a row. You better have your evidence. So I'm guesstimating at best 7 days. So that means by the 24th of January, all of the senior members of the cabinet were aware of coronavirus and that it was coming. But because Dr. Trotman told people that it is mild, ignore it, forget it. PNM Senator was able to organize a PNM fundraising cruise and import a ship from Italy and pack on elderly PNM people to go to sea, incubate and die. Because Dr. Trotman, when given the opportunity to speak to the country,
Virus can cause mainly mild disease. Mainly mild disease. Mainly mild disease. I want the message, and I am glad for the opportunity to communicate to the public and to all of you that this is mainly mild disease.
Understand that when they knew that it was coming and they needed to lie to you, they lied to you. Now Carnival is over. They actually wasted a whole month. So when the PNM trolls and Dr. Parasram, who is now PNM troll in chief, wants to say that Carnival, the narrative is not Carnival. The narrative is when you knew. That's the narrative. I don't care about Carnival. What you were supposed to do was shut the country down. The moment you proclaimed legal notice number 34, if you believed it to be true, you were supposed to shut the country down then. I want to read one more thing to you. Actually, it might be easy to find it here. And I want to tell you this to her. Doctors are not... Anyway. What I want to read to you here is an actual Oxford University study. So, I'm not finding it there. I know I have it on my wall. Just give me 1 minute to scroll it. Because you need to hear this last one. And then, I will leave you to arrive at your own conclusion, to mull and think, because it is important that we collectively act intelligently, because they're testing us. If you could shut down all the doubles boxes and let KFC sell as a test. You read Dr. Terence Farrell. If after I read what I have to read here, You want to hear Dr. Terence Farrell? Because Dr. Terence Farrell, he wrote something that is very scary. And it's about the economy. Yeah? And I know, again, that it is difficult to understand. Hear this, right? Hear why you must never. You see, when people tell me now is not the time for politics, and I tell them now is exactly the time for politics, hear why. In the spring of 1918, censorship ensured that most information relating to a mysterious acute respiratory syndrome was suppressed, except for places like Spain, which had not joined the war and had no censorship. So selective release of information made it look like most cases came from Spain, hence the name Spanish flu. The Spanish flu killed more than 50 million people. So, this is what I'm looking for. And it was written by Tom Jefferson and Carl Hennigan. Now, they went on to say this has not been peer-reviewed, but nothing in coronavirus could have been peer-reviewed yet. Peer review is when other people like you take your data, read it, test it, check it. Now, they put their own reputations on the line from the moment they peer review you. If they challenge you or agree with you, they put in their reputations on the line. A quick look at the distribution of SARS-2 cases around southern Europe shows that viral circulation is widespread. Higher incidence may be explained, at least in part, by the old adage, seek and thou shalt find. Translated into techno-speak, it's ascertainment bias. We call it confirmation bias. If you test, you will find. Epidemics are no strangers to ascertainment bias. In the spring of 1918, military censorship, I just told you that. Technospeak notwithstanding, there can be little doubt that COVID-19 may be far more widely distributed than some may believe. At the time the first symptomatic case was diagnosed in Eugenio, Italy, about 3% had already been infected. Most were asymptomatic. That means they showed no symptoms at all. Now, nor can there be little doubt that the price of lockdown to society and economic paralysis is likely to be paid for generations to come. In the short term, economic devastation seems certain, imposing a heavy penalty on us and probably successive generations. In Bergamo, Italy, clinicians reflected on how to prepare for the next outbreak. Their view is that focusing on hospitals is the wrong way to manage COVID. The symptoms of COVID-19 are unusual, wide-ranging, and in some cases can be severe. Over-referral can lead to significant numbers either turning up or sent into hospital. The disease then spreads rapidly in hospital settings. Healthcare workers have both a higher risk of exposure and of being the vectors of onward transmission, as happened in the 2002-2003 SARS outbreak. Because there are no licensed treatments for COVID-19 non-pharmaceutical interventions, management of complications and early recognition of those deteriorating and most likely to benefit from hospitalization should be the mainstay of management. Changing the emphasis from hospitals to the community could avert a disaster for the wider population. Care in the home setting restricts movements of the infected. All those with a fever and a cough should stay at home. They could be prescribed pulse oximeters and oxygen could be delivered to severely affected cases. Rescue antibiotics prescribed along with daily video monitoring could be used to detect deterioration. In the older population, the mildly ill and the recovering, food supplies should be delivered at home. Older patients admitted to hospital are at greater risk of delirium, pressure sores, adverse effects of new medications, malnutrition, and hospital-acquired infection. An older person admitted to hospital runs the risk of never seeing the light of day again. This is probably the clearest message coming from Italy. Lockdown is going to bankrupt all of us and our descendants and is unlikely at this point to slow or halt viral circulation as the genie is out of the bottle. What the current situation boils down to is this. Is economic meltdown a price worth paying to halt or delay what is already amongst us? about the authors. Tom Jefferson is a senior associate tutor, an honorary research fellow, Center for Evidence-Based Medicine, University of Oxford. Carl Hennigan is professor of evidence-based medicine and director of the Center for Evidence-Based Medicine. I am trying to introduce into the national conversation a level of information that you're not getting on the news. The news is giving you panic. You're going to get numbers. You're going to go on world odometers. But Terence Farrell wrote an article the end of the month here, this week gone. And his article somebody else wrote this, and I can't give you his name. I can't give you his name. But I can give you what he wrote. And because I can't give you his name, you can dismiss it. But it seems to confirm what everybody else is saying. The implications of the economic shutdowns will damage us for generations. Millions will end lives as the question becomes, at what point is it worth it? We have to think about this hard and fast, for this is untenable. This is a pathogen among us, I argue, maybe 2 to 3 years already, and we are all basically immune. We are testing for it, and of course we will find it, seek and we will find. We have to focus on home care in our communities and not hospitals, only for the gravely ill. That needs ventilation or ECMO, etc. We focus on the elderly and weaker among us, and only then we move on. If you are ill and stay home, it reduces chances you infect the healthcare setting and the frontline workers. Recall, in Toronto, they were among the most dead from this. If you have fever, cough, etc., manage at home. If you need oxygen and more support, we can deliver that too. People failing are the only ones to go to hospital, deliver all food to home. And society has to go on. End the shutdown. Focus on the elderly, and of course we go on. When you go to hospital, especially as an older person, the chance of you leaving is reduced greatly. You go mad, insane, you get iatrogenic infections, bed sores, react to the host of new medications, drug reactions, all sorts of bad things in the hospital. 1/3 of elderly who go to emergency die due to that. Severe hospital-gained infection ravages them. I repeat, I predict the mortality rate when the numbers are finally in for COVID-19 will be less than 0.1%. Let me just give you Trevor Farrell, Dr. Trevor Farrell. This is serious. And again, we have too many of our people that seem to be fact resistant. But I still have to try. Dr. Farrell. There is no way that the private sector and the government can carry the labor force for that long. The resources are not there, even when we draw down heavily on the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. In the movie The Perfect Storm, actor George Clooney's fishing vessel is eventually overwhelmed by a giant wave generated by the confluence of two massive storms in the North Atlantic. What can we do so as not to be overwhelmed by the global pandemic and the collapse of oil and gas prices? The problem is uncertainty. We don't know how long the pandemic will last, and we don't know how long oil and gas prices will remain depressed. Therefore, what we need to do in these circumstances is to make conservative but reasonable assumptions and craft our strategy based on these. If I stop there, because the question I wanted to ask, and the only reason I did the video tonight is to ask you this. What will you do when the money runs out? You think about that, yeah? When your landlord or your bank taking no more stories, and you either find money and pay or take your family and get out, what will you do? What will you do when your bank card has no more money, your business closes down, or your job dries up because of this mad lockdown, and you have no other source of income? All the people that you're thinking to call and borrow have already called you to borrow from you. What do? You put in your things to sell, you put it on Craigslist, you put it on eBay, you put it on Facebook, and nobody is calling because you could sell gold at silver price now. If people can't afford silver, it can't sell. What do? You look around at your mega possessions and you're thinking, how do I trade it with the grocery in exchange? How do I get trust? How do I get somebody to give me credit on food? What do you do? What do you do? I want you to think yourself forward. I want you to think yourself forward into a situation where your rent is 3 months late or your mortgage is 3 months late, and right now you're eating, and right now the lights on, and right now the cable on, so it is okay. You could take the bullshit right now. You could pass on the bullshit, shut it down, give me a SOE, no problem. But what do you do when the money done? And you have nobody to turn to. What do you do? Now extrapolate that to Trinidad. What do we do as a country when our money done? What do we do? When we are so broke and indebted to China and the rest of the world, what do you do? In Skip Millet said you negotiate payments with your creditors. No problem. So you negotiate payments with your creditors. You're going to tell them, I need $1,000 in groceries a week. I'll give you $250 a week. No problem. Where are you getting the $250 from in Skip? I'm being very serious tonight. Anybody answer me, be able to defend your answer. If you have zero money and zero chance of getting money, what do you do? Mario, now is not the time to joke. You're on the wrong thread for that. Serious talk, people. What do you do? Your family is home. They've not been to school for 3 months. So I guess Trinidadians still, we're in the bullshit level of the pool still, Michael Chung and everybody, we're going to talk shit still. No problem, because we still have some money. And your wife or your girlfriend or you still could put the clothes in the washer and the dryer and put some soap. 2 months from now, I'll ask you the question again. What do you do when you're hungry? You've not eaten for 2 days. You're watching your starving children. You have no soap in the bathroom. And the landlord or the bank tell you you're on notice. Get out. What do you do? Because this is, you had to find and take what you can. Damien Freeze, everybody trying to find and take what they can. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? You're willing to come down from being a bank manager to be somebody lawnmower. You're going, nobody want to hire no lawnmower. What you going to do? What service you going to sell? Prostitute yourself? We have the Venezuelan girls here for that. What? And nobody want to buy sex because they might get COVID-19. What do you do? What do you do? When there's nowhere for you to turn. Where you can't call your bank, you duck in the bank. What do you do? What do you do when the money runs out? I want you to check yourself right now. I want you to check yourself right now. Listen, fellas, stop the kicks and the shit talk right now. Let's be a little bit grown up and mature. We're dealing with very serious issues here. It's time to be a little bit grown up. I want each and every one of you to work out your cost of living. Right now, Damien Free say anything for survival. You, your 2 daughters and your wife jumping wall and locking people's neck. Them waiting for you to come over the wall so they could lock your neck. That anything for survival sounding like a real thing because you put those 3 words down on paper and you realize it's bullshit and it's useless when everybody in the same boat. Again, what do you do? Maurice Downs, if you're planting food, you have to sit down outside with a spear gun or an actual firearm because people are going to know Maurice have food growing in his yard. And you watching for it to bear and get ripe, and they watching for it to bear and get ripe. So you have to sleep under the tree. What do you do? What do you do? I want Trinidad and Tobago. We're putting aside COVID-19 for now, you know. Work out how much money you have in all. If you never get another dollar again, work out now what you have. What you going to take out the bank in the machine, all of it. If you empty your bank accounts, what do you have? We have stashed away a little bit here, there, and everywhere. Put all of it together and count it. What do you have? $30,000, $40,000. Work out how long that will see it through. If your rent is $8,000 a month and you could move right now to a place for $3,000, move. Move now. Move now. Act as if Andrew John, I will block your ass. Don't come to... In fact, you know what? I think it's time I block your ass in truth. I'm tired of your shit talk. I'm telling you all that we're trying to have a serious conversation. Trinidad and Tobago. Seriously. Seriously. I will end the conversation now. Seriously. I want you to think. I want you to think it through. Think it through. Work it out. Because a time is going to come. Time is going to come. Believe you me. It's going to come. Where you're going to have this conversation with yourself. If you're a parent, you're doubly responsible. You have children to look after. What do you do when the money... Tighten your belt from now, yes, tighten it. But how long? Work it out on paper. How long it lasts. No crisis, nobody break their foot, you have to pay for nothing. Work it out. Work it out. Yeah? And don't even answer anymore because no, they can't no state of emergency, Melissa, and I don't want to tell you all why, because these things hard to enforce now. Stop talking things like revolt and shit. Why do we have to go from 0 to 1 million? The purpose of the conversation is to get us to actually come to a place where we make decisions that make sense. And the decision that we have to make right now is this. Those who are at risk and the elderly, they have to be socially distant. They are the ones that need to be quarantined. Get them out of the way and start back the economy. It is the only way to survive. It is the only way we're coming out of this. Trust me when I tell you, the people who think that they have plenty of money in the bank, what are you going to do with it if you can't buy nothing? Think it through. Think it through. Anyway, with that, I just want you all to understand that the reason I am saying that your economy and the national economy is real important. It's real important. And if you're still posting your bikini pictures on Facebook, because your belly's still full, no problem. But don't wait to reach the waterfall in your canoe to come up with a plan. Don't wait till the edge is in front of you. They're talking about things like suicide. People who don't plan now for the future are the people who will try crime and end up dead or kill themselves. It doesn't have to reach to that. This situation is untenable. The government is not telling us what the plan is going forward. And I'm telling you this, you need a plan. And we have to start, all of us, on our Facebooks, one to the other, people that need to talk, we need to say, okay, listen, isolate those at risk and start the economy back. Because if we don't, we're going to end up in a lot of trouble. Trinidad and Tobago, stay safe till tomorrow.